Welcome to the Bioshock boss tier list. This is just going to be for the first game, so let's get straight into it. There's obviously going to be all the ranks from S, A, B, C to D. There are 11 bosses in Bioshock, and starting with number 1, boss number 1 is J.S. Steinman. Now, I'll have gameplay of me fighting him, and then if I run out of gameplay, it'll just be other people's gameplay of him. But he was a doctor who was in this lab, and he was the one that turned everyone into splices, so he's the one that cut people up a lot and, you know, brutalized people. Some people didn't even know what was going to be happening to them. So obviously he's evil. Now, I think we had a couple encounters with him. He sent some drones after us, and we needed to kill him to get the key to get to Neptune's bounty, I think it was. But he wasn't too formidable of an opponent as, like, the build-up. Build-up for his boss fight wasn't really, like, huge. It wasn't too massive. And eventually when we get to the boss fight and start fighting him, he's kind of not really got anything going for him, like a lot of the bosses in Bioshock, but still. His only unique character is the fact that he splices people, because apart from that, there was nothing cool about his powers. He's kind of just a guy that, I think I killed him in like 3 shots or something. It was an extremely quick fight. So yeah, anyway, that's basically it. We just shot him a couple times and got the key off him after watching him torture someone. He did try and shoot us through the glass, but apart from that, it wasn't too important of a villain, so I'm actually going to put him in C. I know he was the first boss and it's a bit harsh, but it's just lacking something. There wasn't enough build-up, and he's just a regular human. Moving on to boss number 2, it's the normal Big Daddy. So we experienced the normal Big Daddy just before Steinman, actually, so it should have been the other way around. But yeah, the Big Daddy had the little sister near them. That's when we got the guide for the little sister, and obviously the Big Daddy is the face of Bioshock. He's the main front, and he's fun to fight against because he does lots of things, just like slapping you, throwing you about, stuff like that. He's quite fun to fight early game. It was very easy on easy mode. Kind of regret doing it on easy mode, but overall it's just like a really cool idea for something to fight, to have like a diver trapped inside there, unable to do anything but fight the people who come near him. And he's got the big drill as well, but he didn't have too much health, so it wasn't too challenging, which is the only negative aspect to the Big Daddy. It wasn't too challenging, but overall for a first boss fight, I'm going to put that in A because it's actually pretty high up. It's the front of the game, it's a cool looking design. Anyway, so that's number 2. Oh, and I forgot to ask ReactBot's opinion on the first 2. So ReactBot, what do you think of Dr. J.S. Steinman?
Did that just happen?
Yes, Dr. Steinman did happen. Half of ReactBot's voice lines don't make sense. Also, go download ReactBot, go see his funny moments. It was made by Jack's Films. That's his name, by the way, I don't have a stutter. Anyway, let's ask ReactBot's opinion on the Big Daddy as well. What do you think of my placement?
Rip, bozo.
Okay, he disagrees with it. Anyway, let's get ReactBot out of here, and let's move on to boss number 3, which was the Rosie. Now, the Rosie, in my opinion, is not that great, because I didn't even notice that it was different from the Big Daddy until I don't even know when we first experienced it. I'll find the clip. But I didn't even notice until I think I killed it, and it said Rosie instead of Bouncer when you go to loot it, which also is the name of this guy. It's a Big Daddy Bouncer. But Rosie, I think they had a gun. Yeah, it was a rivet gun, which was a cooler weapon than the Big Daddy, I think, just because of how scary it was. Like, the Big Daddy had to be right up close to you to damage you, but this one could damage you from anywhere, and it had more health, I'm pretty sure. So all in all, I'm gonna put it in B, only because its design looks slightly less cool than the Big Daddy, because it's definitely better than Steinman. It's got a better weapon than Big Daddy, but at the end of the day, the actual design of it isn't that great. And as a boss fight, it was harder to fight, which is good, but I just think that it comes down to the design. Anyway, so that's that one. Let's bring in our good old buddy ReactBot. So tell me, ReactBot, what do you think of Rosie?
Somebody call the wambulance.
He said ambulance. Yes, that's a W. He agrees with it. Anyway, get out of here, ReactBot. Moving on to number 4, it's Peach Wilkins. I'm pretty sure that's Peach Wilkins. So he was in Neptune's bounty, and he wouldn't let us through the gate to get into the next area, and we had to go do a bunch of researches for spider splices, which kind of kept the thought of Peach Wilkins being there in the back of our mind the whole time, because that took a while. Also makes me respect him slightly less, because he made us go do a bunch of fetch quests. But Peach Wilkins, yeah, he let us through, and then he thought we were sent by Fontaine, because he was constantly like haunted by that, even though he'd assumed Fontaine was dead at that point, which we know he wasn't. Yeah, he let us through the door, and then he made us put all of our weapons away, so it was a fight with only plasmids, which was kind of annoying. But to be honest, this is one of those boss fights where I didn't even notice that he was a boss because we were being swarmed by splices. I didn't even notice he was there until we'd killed him. Or I think it was when he was like half health or something, because he did have quite a lot of health. So he was a bit tough. He was tougher than Steinman, which is good, which made him slightly more fun to fight. And the area in which we fought was more fun as well, especially since there was waves of things coming after us at the same time. And he kind of was the first person to really bring Fontaine into the thick of it. Anyway, let's rank him. Now, I'm thinking that he is better than a Rosie, and it's a one-time thing. Also, these two, I'm surprised I've actually put them this high because they are very repetitive. Like, Peach Wilkins, Steinman, you only fight them once. It kind of leaves a mark on you. But anyway, we'll leave Peach Wilkins in B. Let's get ReactBot in here. What do you think?
Using AI, I've determined that this video is epic sauce.
Wow, thank you, ReactBot. Thanks for the promo. Anyway, moving on to number 5, it's going to be Martin Finnegan. I think that was his name. I'll have to check. But anyway, him and the next two were the 3 disciples of Sander Cohen that Cohen got us to go kill and take pictures of. And they were like mini-bosses because they each had their own area, their own setup. And Martin Finnegan was actually one of the coolest ones on this list. And I'm going to say that because what happened was you walked into the ice area, the Sidon's Plaza. You hear his voice saying he can hear you breathing. You listen to a voice note about him being trapped in the ice as Sander Cohen locked him in there. So you think there's no way he survived this. And then you go to the opposite end of the room and you get completely frozen over. And he actually freezes you in ice and then walks up to the ice you're frozen and gives you a little speech. And then somehow we melt it and kill it. But I think just for the setup of it, and I'm probably biased because I really like Frost and Ice and stuff, but I'm putting Martin in S. Probably sounds crazy to a lot of people, but it's just because it's very unique compared to all of these ones, which are kind of just like, you shoot them, that's it. There's no cutscenes, well there are cutscenes, but nothing cool in them. Whereas this guy got a whole scene where you actually get frozen in ice and he walks in front of the ice. And I think that's one of the coolest scenes in Bioshock. So for that reason, he's going in S. Now, ReactBot's probably going to flame me for this because it's a weird, very hot take. So let's see what ReactBot thinks.
Not really that impressive.
Okay, I guess it's not a hot take. ReactBot is disagreeing with me whenever I try and speak. Anyway, moving on to number 5. Number 5 was Hector Rodriguez, and he was another one of the disciples, and he was in a different area. These people were all trapped in Fort Frolic by Sander Cohen, by the way. But anyway, this guy was found in I think it was the nightclub. After you went to go listen to that voice note that gave you a little hint to the major plot point later on of you being Andrew Ryan's son. This guy appears when you come back out and he's having a drink and you kill him. Now I think he's the most lackluster of the 3 just because he didn't really have any like setup, cutscene, speech. He just attacked you as soon as you walked out and you shot him. So for that reason I'm going to put him just above Steinman just because actually no, you know what, he's going below Steinman, so still in C but he's going below just because of the lack of everything, to be honest. But anyway, ReactBot, what do you think?
Skibbity dibbity doo-dah.
Why did you just say skibbity? Why? You've ruined the video, ReactBot. Anyway, moving on to number 6. This guy was Silas Cobb, if I'm remembering correctly. And this one was actually another one of the cool ones. So how this worked was, you walked into this room, you jump down into the lower area of the room where there's no way back up. And there's a bomb, and it goes off. And you can survive it easily. And then Silas Cobb appears on the upper part that you can't get up to. Throws some stuff at you, I think. Says something to you. And then lights it on fire. Lights everything on fire. And then you have to crawl through a vent. And then when you get back up to the upper half, through the vent, he comes out the door and attacks you and tries to kill you, and he's a pretty easy opponent just like the other two, but yeah, he was better than this guy, not as good as this guy. So for that reason I think I'm gonna put him below Peach Wilkins, just because again the only reason I think he's better than the Rosie is because of the fact that he gets his own kind of like, at least he gets like a scripted event. The Rosie's just all kind of do the same thing, so for that reason he's going in B tier. Anyway, ReactBot, what do you think of that?
Is that even legal?
Okay, he's disagreeing with all the text today. Anyway, moving on to number 8, the big one, Sander Cohen. Now, this guy was this crazy guy who ran the entire of Fort Frolic. Now, when we first go to Fort Frolic, we start going to Hephaestus, and he sinks the Hephaestus bathysphere and tells us he will only bring it back up if we go and help him. And we do end up helping him. And the boss fight is really cool because when we finish his masterpiece, for the first time in Bioshock, a major villain villain actually doesn't try and kill you. He walks down the steps, looks at his masterpiece, he says, I think you'll find the path to Ryan is now open, and he lets you go take the bathysphere, and he even gives you a gift. But the reason I think this is so well done is you actually get two options, because if you leave him alive, then he comes back at a later point in the game, which I'll talk about. But if you kill him, you get some loot, which I did in my playthrough because I assumed it was going to be like every other boss fight, because he was definitely a villain, and I assumed it was going to be a boss fight, so I just instantly shot him. And he does fight you, and you kill him, you take his key, you can unlock the muse box. But you don't get the rewards in the other box. But if you don't kill him, then later in the game, when you get much further on, I think it's like Apollo Square or something. But anyway, Mercury Suites is where all the suites are for all the people. If you go into Sander Cohen's flat, he actually appears. He comes downstairs and tries to kill you, which I can't really remember why, to be honest. But you get another round at the boss fight, and if you kill him, you get the key to go open the box that you would have only got if you killed him the first time, and you get to go into his room and like look at a bunch of stuff, and it's really cool. So just for the fact that there's multiple endings to this boss fight, just the boss itself can cause different things in the game, and the fact that Sander Cohen he's quite interesting. He creates one of the most scariest monsters in the game, which is the plastic splicers. So for that reason, I'm putting him above Martin Finnegan at the highest of S tier. Now that's probably crazy to a lot of you, but let's ask ReactBot.
Is that a JoJo reference?
He is crazy, but I don't think Sander Cohen is a JoJo reference now. It's a bit of a reach there, ReactBot. Anyway, number 9, moving on, is the Elite Rosie. Now I had to decide whether to put these on the list or not. I wasn't going to originally because it's kind of a bit of a weird of a choice. Did I just say bit of a weird of a choice? It's a bit weird of a choice because these two, the Elite Rosie and Elite Big Daddy, are literally just red painted versions of the other two. So for this reason, I'm actually not going to put them in the same spots because they were the Elite versions, they had more health, which made the boss fights more challenging, which therefore made them better bosses. Because that was my only gripe about the Big Daddy, was the fact that it was too hard to beat, too easy to beat even. So for that reason, I'm putting the Elite Big Daddy, actually no, I'll do the Elite Rosie first because it was in order. Let's put the Elite Rosie just one above the Rosie because I think that makes sense. It just has more health, funner to beat. But again, no cutscenes, so it's still going to stay in B, so that's Elite Rosie in B. And of course, we've got to ask ReactBot.
I just failed my try not to laugh challenge.
That's just mean. I'm not trying to make you laugh. Moving on to number 10, we already know it's the Elite Big Daddy, so I'm going to put that one above at the top of A tier, so there we go. And obviously we have to ask little old ReactBot.
Look at this chungus.
I was about to say that about the last guy. Can you give us something better than that, ReactBot?
Okay, this next one is insane.
What? He actually just predicted what I was going to say, because this next one is insane. This, the final boss of the game, Frank Fontaine. He fills himself with Adam, turns into this beast. He has like multiple phases in which he turns from lightning to fire, I think. I can't remember the other one. But it's the final boss of the entire game. It's the only boss with stages, meaning he changes stage, and he has a lot of health, especially in the harder difficulties. And while that's happening, you get attacked by flying bots, splicers, all likes, everything. But I'm not gonna lie, Frank Fontaine himself, I'm not a huge fan of the design. They've got like the shiny gold body. I don't really think it works. I think it would have been better to give his an actual human body, like make it completely fire or completely lightning. I think that would have been more interesting because they don't really explain why he turns gold, just kind of the monstrous effects of the Adam. But it is cool nonetheless, and it is the final boss fight of the game, and obviously there's been build up to this boss fight, bearing in mind it happened across the entire game. It's been building up to this. Although it doesn't have multiple different endings, which kind of makes sense because you can't really not defeat the final boss, but I guess that's something Sander Cohen has over him. But anyway, I think that's enough talk about Frank Fontaine. Now, I don't think he's the best. I actually still think Sander Cohen is the best. But, however, I'm actually going to put him one above Martin Finnegan, and that is because he has more cutscenes. He has the final cutscene where you kill him. The only reason he's below Sander Cohen is just because I think Sander Cohen was much more of an interesting character. Fontaine was kind of a baseline. We know he's evil. We just got to go kill him. Sander Cohen was a bit of a mystery, especially when he didn't kill us. I so assumed he was going to kill us. But anyway, there we go. That's Frank Fontaine in S. So, ReactBot, what's your final opinion on Frank Fontaine?
It's giving Child of Divorce.
Okay, we don't know his parents, so probably, I'd imagine. Anyway, that is the definitive Bioshock bosses tier list completed. So in the bottom tier we have Steinman and Hector Rodriguez. In the B tier we have Wilkins, Silas Cobb, Elite Rosie and Rosie. In A tier we have Elite Big Daddy and Big Daddy, and then in S tier we have Martin Finnegan, Frank Fontaine and Sander Cohen. So I hope you enjoyed my tier list, and make sure to let me know what you think of it. If you're a Bioshock fan, let me know where you'd put what, and if I've done something criminal in this tier list, which I assume I probably have at some point. Someone somewhere is going to dislike this. But anyway, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Hope you enjoyed this one. It's completely free for you to subscribe, and it helps me out a lot. So I'll see you all in the next one.